Good morning from Mount Stewart. What a glorious week it has been, and it's probably quite timely to talk about what we do about our water management. So Mount Stewart is a working farm, of course. Most of the water you probably see, you only think about the lake maybe, of course what comes out of the mains. And we've got two massive 8-inch main supply pipes that come into the estate, and they supply not only the buildings of course, but all of our farmland drinkers. Now, when you get extended weather like this we're having, of course, you know, we may think we're in a wet climate, but the reality is it's actually quite dries up quite quickly here, especially locally here on the peninsula, where the geology means that you've got these stranded water tables but very shallow bedrock with the drumlin landscape. So the way we manage it is very closely, basically. All of our drinking troughs have isolators on them, so that when we know there aren't cattle in the field, we can isolate them so there's no evaporation and leakage or wastage of water that way. A little side note on the farming side of things regards water, drought tolerance and so on. This here is one of our sort of more traditional farming fields. So it's a classic modern rye pasture, bone dry, parched in this weather. Whereas here's one of the herbal ley systems that we've just recently, over the past few years, seeded along with our tenant farmer. And even on the brow of the hill here, I mean, this is bare bedrock and you've still got green growth, and certainly on down slope, plenty of green growth. You can see the cattle just grazing in the paddock systems over there. But that herbal ley system is basically a real nice mixture of different species rather than just one perennial ryegrass. All those different species are deep rooted, so they're plumbed in nice and deep into where all the moisture is in the soil, whereas a lot of traditional ryegrasses, they would be very shallow rooted and can really suffer from extended drought periods like this. The other way, of course, is actually monitoring our usage in the first place. So we have a lot of meters and sub-meters around the domain. Some of them are easy to get to, and here's one of our nice and simple ones. Some of them not so much so. Here's one of the more entertaining ones to get to. Bear with me a moment while I wade through this. Ooh, right, here we go. By monitoring this usage of our water, we can understand, well, one, how much we're using in the first place, ways to reduce it. Also checking to see if we have any leaks. Now this sort of weather right now, when it is so dry, you've only got to look at this just shallow bit of bedrock here. The sward is absolutely parched here. Just a little lower down, still green. So one of the things that we look out for in weather like this is if we've got a particularly green squishy patch somewhere, which might suggest that there's a leak in a pipe. So part of my jobs this week is getting the meter reads done. Okay, so here I am out in the field, and I'm just getting our utility management tool open. There we are, Mount Stewart Utilities. Okay, so you can see all of our various meters that I cover on the domain. So the red ones are electric and the blue ones are water. So what I do is we just head out to the monitoring stations, the meters, and we basically just edit and pop in the readings. And away we go, and then we submit that into our monitoring system. And also I'm keeping an eye out for where the pipes that we know run through the estate, if there's any particularly squidgy patches after a week of this dry weather, in fact a month we've had it this dry, then I go and look, and perhaps that might be a leak. So here's a really good example where I think we've got a little leak just here. Now it is bone dry everywhere else, apart from this one little spot where we're still sitting a bit wet and squidgy. Now I know that we have a stop tap just over there, and there's a mains pipe that runs through here, and this is a T pipe that sends off to some field troughs that are over in the gamekeeper's lodge area. So I think this is one to investigate. So that's what we're up to today, and we'll see you next week.